Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be speaking with you on how I lost 30 kg in 3 months and a couple of kg lesser than my pre-pregnancy weight. So which means that I'm about a couple of kg lower than my pre-pregnancy weight. So I not only moved to my I not only lost 30 kg and went to my actual weight. I lost a couple more kgs also lower than my pre-pregnancy weight. So how did I go about this? Right, I'm going to be sharing my experience with you, and I'm hoping you can learn a couple of things from my experience, right? And the reason why I'm going to be sharing my experience is not just only to tell you how I lost weight, to tell you why it was important for me to lose weight, my particular circumstance, and just so that whoever is struggling with this kind of issue, right, maybe trying to lose weight, maybe have a couple of health issues that are making losing weight stressful for you, through my experience you can learn a couple of things. So I gained over 30 kg while I was pregnant, right? If you see one video I did, I don't remember the title, but there's a video I did and I shared a couple of my experiences during pregnancy, right? So I had a couple of sugar eating issues while I was pregnant, and it made me like increase. I also had a lot of throwing up. Coincidentally, my throwing up did not translate to me losing weight, rather I was gaining weight, right? So I know when you're pregnant, you're not technically eating for two, like you're eating for two, but not technically eating for two, because the baby is actually getting the food from the nutrients from like the exchange of blood from the placenta, right? So technically they're not eating the same food we are eating, they're just getting the nutrients. So I knew all these, and all these were really driving me frustrated while I was pregnant, because I knew I was not eating for two. Like, people were nice enough to try and console me that, oh, you're eating for two, but I knew I wasn't eating for two. Luckily my doctors didn't pressure me, but I knew like I definitely have to lose this weight. Now there were so many things working against me losing this weight. If you've heard, if you've listened to some of my videos, you know that I had an accident in 2022 which affected like my a lot of things about my life. And then last year again, while I was pregnant, I had another accident. So I had a couple of accidents that really affected me. So, and this also affected like my metabolism. Like, if you can't do a lot of things, your metabolism is in excess really fast, right? So before then I don't even have good metabolism to start with, right? And then all these issues just made my metabolism slower, right? When you're in pain, like your muscles are weak, you can't really like do a lot. And then I had some concerns while I was pregnant, right? And that for me made me know that I literally had to lose weight. Like, I had preeclampsia, and then I had a couple of issues. Like, I don't really want to go into details, because I just want to encourage you out there. I don't want you to, I don't want, oh, okay, maybe I'll just say one. So I had a sludge that ended up becoming a stone, right? Well, in the process of trying to lose weight, I knew it was important for me to like try and lose weight, even though weight technically is not a predisposing factor to it. It can cause it, but pregnant women are predisposed to having it. Was one of the issues that came with pregnancy. Why I don't want to go into details is I don't want to discourage someone who wants to get pregnant from getting pregnant, and I don't want to also place a stigma on those who have it, right? That is because they have weight, or it's because they were pregnant. Different things can cause different things. This was just my situation, right? So I had a sludge, and then was supposed to watch for it not onto a stone. Sadly, by the time I put to bed and I was going for my 6 to 8 week checkup, it was already a stone. So all these were really motivating me to want to lose weight. Although before then I was already trying to lose weight, basically because of my own self-care. Like, I know that I have to be a certain weight. Some people say when you're getting older, the BMI thing doesn't really count, but it's the only way I can put myself in shape. Because when you're closer to the ground, and when I say closer to the ground, it means when you're short, you know, there's only so much allowance you can give yourself in terms of adding so much weight. So I always try to make sure my weight is in check, just for my own health care, my peace of mind, just to make me feel good also, like, about myself, right? So it was very important for me to lose that weight. So because I also had a C-section, right? So it wasn't exactly easy like getting all these things. So I had a C-section, I was in pain, I still had my muscular issues and a couple of other stuff. My blood pressure was still on the rise. So how did I do all these things? Because you can't just say that, oh, because you have all these things you can't start dieting. But then how do you diet right? So You can't just be like, I mean, you have to take things easy with yourself, give yourself time to recover from all those things. You also don't just want to stay there, accumulate all those weight, let them digest, staying with you, and then you keep adding more and more and more weight. I did a couple of things wrong, right? I'm gonna share that with you. I did a couple of things right, but ultimately I lost 30 kg, and it was 30 healthy kg. I lost more than 30 kg, right? Because within 3 months, it's more than 3 months now, but within 3 months I had moved from 94, 95 kg to about 64 kg, right? So, and I'm even lower than that now. So yeah, how did I do that, right? My pre-pregnancy weight is hard to tell because I was floating around 64, and at that time I didn't even know that I was what you might call it, pregnant then. And then I was trying to lose weight. I was taking a lot of protein, and then I became 60. But by the time I was 60, I was already pregnant. And then I just kept shooting up 70, 80, 90. So the period before I put to bed was just phew, I was just like skyrocketing in my in my weight. Like every once you just breathe, like it's an extra kg and all, like. And I was also trying to exercise. I was exercising also while pregnant, right? But it was only LD exercises, also considering my history. So how did I do all this, right? With a CS and all that. So what I did basically, because when you also have a CS, you have to change your diet, right? Because pushing, right, is not exactly easy, right? So if you have to use the toilet, like, it's not exactly easy. And I have history of constipation. So how did I navigate all these things? So I actually had to understand my body also, right? Before I got pregnant, when I got pregnant, post-pregnancy, like, our body changes. So I knew my body before getting pregnant, I knew my body while I was pregnant, and then I had to understand my body now that I was no longer pregnant. But one thing that is constant is that I get constipated, right? So I also had to understand the role constipation was playing for me in my weight loss and weight gain process, right? These were some things that also been there before, like, I got pregnant, but maybe I didn't notice it, and I noticed it maybe shortly before, or I noticed it every once in a while, but didn't really pay attention to it. But I really paid attention to it, like, after putting to bed, right? So the first thing I did was to change my diet, right? I was like, now that I was no longer pregnant, there were more things I could eat, right? So I took a lot of stock, a lot of fruit, a lot of smoothies, right? Because these things are also very healthy for you when you just have a cesarean section, right? So I was eating a lot of stock, a lot of smoothie, a lot of fruits, vegetables, and all of that. But I also knew that that wasn't gonna help me well wise, right? Because of my own history. So I had to add a healthy laxative also to eat. But this laxative was prescribed to me while I was pregnant, because if you suffer with moving your bowels before pregnancy, it gets what's in pregnancy. So that was Restoralax, and that's because our body doesn't actually absorb any of it in. So even though I was taking fruits, vegetables, all this, I still wasn't having any bowel movement, and that also was making it hard for me to actually lose it. So when I actually even put to bed, my baby was like about 3 kg, so I didn't really lose much. I was still somewhere around 89 thereabouts. So in the first couple of days, right, with eating LD, right, I moved to like 87, but after then it was just it was a slow thing. I had to, like, do things gradually. So typically they advise that you don't do any exercises, you don't do any strenuous stuff until after 6 weeks, right? But by 4 weeks I was already feeling good. So there's also the school of thoughts that you work according to your body. So by 4 weeks, I, even though I wasn't yet arrived to start my physio, I felt I was good to start my exercise, and so I started doing a lot of core exercise. Even before pregnancy, I wasn't allowed to do certain core exercises because of my history with my injury, right? So I started doing a lot of core exercise, and this was something I did wrong, because even though I was to start doing core exercise, there were some exercises I wasn't supposed to start doing, right? Why wasn't I supposed to do it? So even without having an accident, when you're pregnant, your muscles get weak, especially if you were exercising actively before. There are different cadres to exercising, by the way. So if you were actively exercising, lifting weight and all that, and you were doing it in pregnancy, good job. But if you weren't doing any of all those, your muscles are definitely going to get weak, right? So you don't want to start doing core exercises like just after, like, within that time frame. You want to work on your breathing exercises. So this was some things I did wrong, right? So all of the time I was doing those core exercises, I was doing it because I wasn't active, right? And I still had a bit of pain, right, in terms of, like, carrying stuff and all that, but my mobility had increased, right? I could walk longer distance, obviously, right? So but weren't taking more a lot of walks because of the weather, right? So because of that, I try to supplement by doing core exercises. So you could do cardio or core exercise. I'm not currently doing any form of cardio exercises because I haven't been passed to do that yet. So I was doing core exercises, and then I started doing all of the core exercises in my regular schedule before I had an accident. Even the ones that I was told to stop because I just felt like, okay, I should be feeling better. But what was happening was when I started this thing, for the first week, I felt like I had energy, right? Now, couple of weeks down the line, this exercise was not causing any change in my weight. Rather, it was making me weaker in my, like, in terms of my functionality. So when you're losing weight, especially as somebody who just puts away, there's so many things you want to put into play. You want to put your health into play, you want to put your strength into play, you want to put how you feel into play, you want to put like the other things that you have to do, like taking care of your baby, carrying your baby, your mental health, your physical health, your family, everything around you, and all the things you have to do. You have to make sure that you are sound, like, right, and you feel good. So all these things, trying to navigate all these things with diet, also, like, you want to eat in a way that you can also express if you're like doing breastfeeding for your kid, and that you also feel good about yourself, because some foods can be really depressing. Like, you can eat a meal and it just make you feel sad. Now, some of this food I ate also contributed to my healing process, because I healed very fast, right, from cesarean section. My doctor gave me that feedback, a couple of people gave me that feedback, right? So I was eating very healthy, right? There were a couple of things I placed restriction. Even my husband was like, I don't understand this, because when you were pregnant, you weren't eating all this. Now, just eat these things. But I knew that I couldn't take that allowance. It wasn't as if a couple of times I didn't just cheat and take some snacks, which is another thing I'm going to discuss, right? If I don't remember to discuss all of it, just pick them when I'm mentioning them. So I snacked a couple of times. There was a time I really craved, like, digestive chocolate, and I was like, no, I can't suffer in pregnancy and then suffer after again. So I actually indulged in my craving a couple of times, and for me, I had to understand my body. Sometimes when I indulge in those cravings, I actually drastically lose weight. So I can be on a strict diet for a while, and then after a while I plateau. This is something I had to study about myself. Once I plateau, if I indulge in what I feel like taking, not excessively, maybe for like 2 days, like, then I actually drastically lose weight. I also had to make sure that I was actually moving my power. So things I made sure of was that everything around me was working in line for me, right? In the sense that my diet wasn't affecting my mood, it wasn't affecting my breastfeeding, it wasn't affecting my peace of mind, right? And then the thing I was doing wrong was the exercise. So I had to, as soon as I found out, I had to adjust. So I started first by doing breathing exercises. So because when we are pregnant, we go through a lot of pain, there's a tendency that our muscles are tense and stiff, and we're not that mobile, we're not that flexible, we don't have that capacity, because we have a lot of pain in us and we've held this pain too much. So we have to relax these muscles, and it takes time, it takes a lot of time, right? So you don't just start doing those exercises, you start with little exercises, right? So I was doing about 7 to 8 different types of exercises. I actually should have started with just 2 exercises coupled with breathing exercises. So breathing exercises, what they do is that it helps you do those core exercises effectively in a way that you are actually strengthening your muscles, not making your muscles weaker, right? So exercises help, like, in body build up, right, and also breaking down stored up fats. They also help in your metabolism, right? So another thing I had to improvise on was, rather than doing all the body exercise, I think about walks about 3 times in a week, right? It wasn't that effective, especially when the weather was really bad, but every time I can, I try as much as possible to do it. So try and be active, take walks, do exercises as frequent as you can. You also need this exercise because you're recovering. You want to make your body start resuming activity. So all these things, they are also going to help you feel good about yourself. They're going to help your body set emotion. You don't want to stay in a place whereby you're still holding that pain, because the longer you hold that pain, the longer it is for you to actually recover, right? And it helps your metabolism. So I have to also factor the fact that before all this, my muscles were weak, right? And so my metabolism is not that fast, right? So all of what is, so I had to walk maybe 3, 4, 5 times extra than a regular person, yet I was still able to lose 30 kg, which is why I'm sharing all this. So I modified my diet, right? I took a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, I took smoothies, so you also have to factor if you're having more, you're eating. Some people, they tend to eat more, like when they are breastfeeding. I was very lucky that was not my situation. I only had it when I'm maybe PMSing and I have gone on a, like, fruits, vegetable diet for too long without carbs. So if I've not had carbs for like more, like a week, right? Sometimes it's 3 days, but I still have the effect. It happens in 3 days if I'm gonna be PMSing around that period. But then, other than that, technically it only happens if I haven't had carbs for like a week. So I did healthy smoothies that were also gonna fill me up. So what that means is instead of me eating 3 times a day, I might actually eat like 5 times a day. And by 5 times a day, this includes fruits and vegetables, right? So I can wake up, eat smoothie. My smoothie comprises of a fruit. So this can be banana, it could be orange, or it could be pineapple. Pineapple for people who find it easy. I didn't take much of pineapples, right? And then leafy vegetables. So I had green smoothies. I also had just fruit smoothies. Fruit smoothies were just maybe banana and strawberries. But something else you have to consider is the capsaicin, right? So I put pepper in this thing. So this is another thing. So I have history of peptic ulcer, so I also have to consider that. So most times before I use that, I have to actually take an antacid. So you want to consider all these things when you're actually planning yourself, and that is why I'm sharing my story, so that you can know that I had a lot of things working against themselves, but I still tried to navigate with the help of God, with actually also making my own efforts and not just giving excuses for myself, right? And also being easy on myself, right? So you can actually do it. You just have to start. It might not be as fast as every other person around you. So I made sure that most times I had pepper in my smoothie. So what pepper does, because it has capsaicin, is it helps in increasing your metabolism, and it helps you feel full faster. So rather than me taking maybe smoothie 5 times in a day, for example, not like my entire diet day is always smoothie. So I can take smoothie in the morning, boiled egg. So I can take smoothie by 9. Let's say I start eating by 9. I can take smoothie by 9, boiled egg around 1 o'clock, and then the afternoon have just vegetables, and I take a soup, right? So some soup I took were like pepper soup, right? Chicken pepper soup, beef pepper soup. I also took stock. So I could have all this in a day. So they are majorly like fruit, vegetables, protein, right? If you're not having carbs, then you have to actually optimize your protein. Then with the days I actually had carbs, I just took like a cup spoon of rice with lots of vegetables. But those are the times that my breastfeeding actually kicks in, especially if I work a lot that period, because I'm also doing a couple of stuff, right, other than just feeding. So at some point my activity rate is high, and I actually feel the impact of actually breastfeeding. So those are the times 1 cup of rice is just not gonna work for me. So I supplement it by taking smoothie or just taking half cup of rice again, but make sure I augment it with vegetables. I ensure that days like that I actually do my exercise and take a walk, right, just to increase my metabolism, to help that food break down fast, right? So I watch my diet. I did diet control. Like now I wasn't eating as if I was pregnant. I wasn't eating for two, right? And if in periods I did not get hungry as much when I was feeding as I did when I was pregnant. Some people do. And the times I had that, I did not say because I'm feeding and I have to actually eat, right, that I was going to, what you might call it, eat more. So even though I was eating more, they were healthy stuff. So there were things like vegetables, smoothies, that kind of thing. So I didn't just take fruits, because with me, fruits don't necessarily make me feel up. I can use fruit as a snack, but not an actual food, right? So in periods like that, I could just take 2 boiled eggs, right? So that will keep me full, maybe if it's at night and the next day, or it's in the next meal, right? Rather than maybe taking something like amala vegetable, and then I mixed and match. So periods I felt like I'd gone too long just on a controlled diet. Then I switched back to, like, I'm saying amala, like it might be potatoes for you, amala, because I'm like Nigerian and I'm a Yoruba girl, right? So like our regular food, I pounded yam, jollof rice, pound amala, plantain fufu, and that kind of thing, swallows, right, with soup. So I would switch sometimes to actual swallows, and but make sure that I have more soup. But on a typical day, it's basically smoothie in the morning, eggs in the morning, oats, right, that kind of thing in the afternoon, maybe rice, veggies at night, stock. Sometimes like I don't have carbs, right, and those times I don't have carbs, I take a lot of protein. So I do pepper soup, I do stock, and all that. But days like that, I don't eat 3 times a day, I eat around 5 times. Now I was eating 5 times, like those meals, smoothie, soup, smoothie, smoke, soup, protein, like protein, egg, because I was actually breastfeeding. Before pregnancy, right, and when I wasn't breastfeeding, I wouldn't have done that. I would have made it 3 times. So it would literally be like smoothie, soup, and maybe boiled egg. So like that, right? So Why do you want that? Because proteins actually help keep you full. So when you're trying to lose weight, you also don't want to be hungry, because when you're hungry, then it defeats the whole process of you trying to actually lose weight, because then you just grow up on anything. So make sure you have healthy snacks around. Make sure that you don't have things that can actually tip you off. So times I craved, I indulge, not every time. Sometimes I make sure I don't have any of all those things around. So there were just few times I indulged in my cravings, and I literally went the extent of actually buying like digestive chocolates I was craving at that point in time, and some other stuff, right? Maybe it was ice cream. And you won't believe it that I actually did lose weight when I indulged, right? That's because my body was actually telling me it needed something. Sometimes it was the cherry protein, and I just go on and emit eating spray for that period. And when I say spray, it's not for 1 week, it might just be for like that day and the next day, right? So maybe I was eating only boiled meat, like boiled chicken in my stock. I could just crave like beef, and then I would indulge, right? And all that for that day and the next day, which means I'm eating beef in addition to the stock I ideally would have taken, right? So what happens when you're doing all of these things? Your body also adjusts, right? Your body adjusts. You're helping your body also increase its metabolism. You're also keeping yourself full. You're keeping yourself full so that you're not getting hungry, and you don't gravitate towards eating things that are unhealthy, right? And then with movements, with exercises, with taking walks, you're increasing your metabolism, because your body isn't where it was before, and we are all DNA physically, structurally made up differently. Some people have high metabolism, so it might be easier for them. Some of us, we don't have that much high metabolism, and coupled with some people that also have existing health conditions that they are battling, or maybe they had an accident or other things. Now, what it is do for me, it helped my cells. It not only made me lose weight, it helped me recover faster from my cells, and it also actually removed the gallstone, of course, with the help of prayers, right? So all this went right. Now I'm still working on my strength, right? Because the whole process of recovering from a whiplash and other injuries are still an ongoing process. So I'm still exercising, and exercise is also like a part of me now, right? So I am still actually exercising, ensuring that I'm keeping myself healthy, but I'm still ensuring that I watch what I eat, because the makeup of women is not the same as men. Men can literally eat a lot and they will not even at the kitchen. You just breathe, and the next thing you've added weight, right? So you have to be careful of all those things. You have to know your body makeup. And I also noticed that when I don't have bowel movements, it makes it hard for me to actually see the impact of my actual weight loss. So I made sure that I was actually moving my bowel as frequent as possible, right? I try to use mechanisms that will make me have a bowel moment. You know what works for you. I know what works for me, or I don't even know what works for me, because my story around that is just a different story. But I had to learn and know what works for me, right? So for me, I realized that having a bowel movement at least a week, don't laugh, at least a week works in my weight loss journey, right? And I'm saying at least a week because yes, I can go weeks without one. So yeah, but when I feel like no, I've done my work and I'm not seeing it reflect, I can literally feel myself, right? Then I aim not for one bowel movement a week. I aim for it at least once every 2 days, right? Or 3 days, right? Then I know that no, I've done the work. Why am I not seeing the impact, right? So these are things that work for me. My diet, exercising, trying to increase my metabolism, ensuring that I'm not getting hungry frequently by watching the things I'm actually eating. So the things I'm eating are things that should actually make me full. So I'm not suffering myself. I'm not making myself start craving things that I should not be eating. Portion control. Exercise is very key, and exercise according to your capacity. Also, as a woman who just goes to bed, make sure that your muscles are relaxed enough so that the exercise you're doing actually show, right? If you're stressing yourself more than you should actually be doing, it will be counterproductive. You will be soring those muscles and making your own recovery process longer and tougher, right? So exercise healthily, relax your muscles, do a lot of breathing exercise for yourself, for your well-being, for your body's recovery process, for your weight loss, for your metabolism. Eat right, do portion control, understand your body. Like, you can also add things that are peppery, right? I think pepper helps in increasing your metabolism and making you feel full to last a period of time. Eat more proteins, eat more fruits and vegetables. There are other ways of making these things, like there are enticing ways of making them appealing. You can make them in form of a smoothie, and you can actually put pepper into your smoothie. That helps a lot. So that is how I was able to lose 30 kg in 3 months, including a couple more kgs lower than my pre-pregnancy weight. I would just be stopping and wrapping it up here, even though I have more to share, just so that you're able to watch, you're able to get through to the end and you don't feel discouraged along the line. But if you have any more questions for me, you can drop it in the comment section. And if I do another video on this, then I will share more things. But everything is wrapped up in these things I just shared. Thank you, and let me know what you think about this. What has worked for you? What are you struggling with? And I will be sure to reply you. Have a good day.